Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the latest tropical update. Today is Monday, May 30th. Happy Memorial Day to everybody in America. We are watching two systems still. We're watching Category 2 Hurricane Agatha making its way towards landfall on the Mexican province of Oaxaca, and then making its way into the Gulf of Mexico, its remnants into the Gulf of Mexico, where moisture and vorticity will contribute to an area of interest we're watching near the Yucatan and the potential formation of a tropical cyclone. Let's begin with Agatha, because that's the first thing in the batting order anyways. Current Category 2 hurricane. We had two airplane missions into the storm to take a look at the rotation of it. Thankfully, it's weakened a little bit since its peak intensity at 110 miles an hour yesterday. It's now down to 105. As we can see here, hurricane warnings, watches, and tropical storm warnings remain in effect for all of the same areas that there were yesterday, as well as a small chance it reaches major hurricane status near Puerto Escondido, where it will make landfall later tonight, although current indications are that it has already made its peak strength and will not strengthen any further due to that interaction with the mountains on southern Mexico. Its remnants will then move inland over Mexico, where we could see as much as 20 inches of rain in southern Mexico. Mudslides also going to be a major concern with this system. Its remnants will then move northward into the Gulf of Mexico. That low-level center will dissipate, which means it'll lose the name Agatha, even if it were to reform. It loses the name because the low-level center is gone. Upper-level stuff might stay intact as the moisture makes its way into the Gulf of Mexico. I'm going to use my cursor here. Hopefully you guys can see it. So it's going to make its way down here in this extreme southern part of the Gulf of Mexico. And that, combined with other moisture, as we see very heavy moisture over the Cozumel area in the far western Caribbean Sea today, especially between the Yucatan and Cuba, that can, combined with Agatha's remnants, which will still have lots of moisture associated with it, will then produce a very large area of low pressure, probably about the size of my cursor, or even better put, probably about the size of this orange outlined area is that whole low pressure system size by the time it consolidates together. Now, that's when it's still big. That's too big for this thing to ramp up into a hurricane right away. And so first it needs to consolidate into a more compact, small center with very strong winds in it. And that makes sense. A whole lot of broad winds isn't as strong as a little bit of very strong winds. And that's what tropical cyclones are. So we need to consolidate to get ourselves a tropical cyclone. National Hurricane Center saying a 40% chance of that happening within the next 5 days. If it happens on the early end of the period, we could see it take a hard turn to the left towards the western Gulf Coast, although I don't see that being particularly likely. That is, South Texas, northern Mexican Gulf Coast need to be on alert if that does happen, but I'm not concerned about that at this time. As it looks like what it will do now is make its way through the Yucatan and into far western Cuba, again, the very broad low pressure system, and slowly begin to consolidate as it makes its way toward the Florida Keys and South Florida, towards portions of the northern Bahamas as well. And then from there, it may finally consolidate into a tropical cyclone just north of the Bahamas, where it could impact portions of the United States Atlantic seaboard, Bermuda, and potentially even the northern Bahamas as well. So we'll be monitoring this system very closely. If it does develop, again, right now it's really not super favorable that something will develop, but the models are kind of hinting that something could happen. And so the National Hurricane Center is putting that out there, and I am hopefully conveying that to you guys. So that is today's update on the tropical cyclone activity in the Atlantic. Remember, I tried to focus on the Atlantic in terms of activity, as that's what impacts the United States. But in this case, Agatha is causing impacts in the Atlantic, or could contribute to impacts in the Atlantic. And so we're talking about that storm as well. Anyways, that's all for now. Chris 694 with our Catholic Media.